Good evening, our dear viewers, and welcome to our special program covering the Arab Islamic Summit currently being held in the Saudi capital, Riyadh. The representative of His Highness the Emir Sheikh Mish'al Ahmed Al-Jaber Al-Sabah, may Allah protect and bless him, His Highness the Crown Prince Sheikh Sabah Khalid Al-Hamid Al-Sabah, may Allah protect him, delivered the State of Kuwait speech today at the Arab Islamic Follow-Up Summit for Regional Peace. Please stay tuned with us, and here is the speech.
الأمير محمد بن سلمان بن عبد العزيز آل سعود ولي عهد ورئيس مجلس الوزراء في المملكة العربية السعودية، إخواني أصحاب الجلالة والفخامة والسمو، معالي الأخ السيد أحمد أبو الغيط الأمين العام لجامعة الدول العربية، معالي الأخ السيد حسين إبراهيم طه الأمين العام لمنظمة التعاون الإسلامي، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أتشرف بداية بنقل تحيات حضرة صاحب السمو أمير دولة الكويت الشيخ مشعل الأحمد الجابر الصباح حفظه الله ورعاه لكم جميعا، وتمنيات سموه لأعمال مؤتمرنا هذا بالتوفيق والسداد لما فيه خير أمتينا العربية والإسلامية، وبما يحقق أمن واستقرار المنطقة وشعوبها. كما يطيب لي أن أتقدم للمملكة العربية السعودية الشقيقة قيادة وحكومة وشعبا بجزيل الشكر والامتنان على ما لقيناه من حسن وفادة وكرم ضيافة، معربا في الوقت ذاته عن بالغ الإشادة والتقدير لجهودها المبذولة في استضافة قمة المتابعة العربية الإسلامية المشتركة غير العادية التي تأتي امتداداً لأعمال القمة العربية الإسلامية الاستثنائية للعام 2023. والشكر موصول لجهازي أمانة جامعة الدول العربية ومنظمة التعاون الإسلامي على الإعداد الأمثل لأعمال هذه القمة الهامة. أصحاب الجلالة والفخامة والسمو، يلتئم جمعنا المبارك مجدداً على أرض الحرمين الشريفين تلبية لدعوة كريمة من مقام خادم الحرمين الشريفين الملك سلمان بن عبد العزيز آل سعود ملك المملكة العربية السعودية الشقيقة حفظه الله ورعاه. ولا يزال الاحتلال الإسرائيلي جاثماً على صدر الأمتين العربية والإسلامية منذ عام 1948 ومستشرياً في جسدها نتيجة الانتهاكات الصارخة وازدواجية المعايير في تطبيق القوانين والمواثيق والقرارات الدولية ذات الصلة، مما أفضى إلى تأجيج الصراعات وتقويض الأمن والسلم الدوليين في تجسيد دقيق لما حذرت منه ولسنوات عديدة دولنا كافة. وما نشهده اليوم في غزة وباقي أرض فلسطين المحتلة من إبادة جماعية ترتكبها سلطات الاحتلال الإسرائيلي بحق أبناء الشعب الفلسطيني الشقيق، والاستهداف الممنهج لمظاهر الحياة من خلال التعرض للأعيان المدنية ومنع دخول المساعدات الإنسانية وفرض سياسة التهجير القسري ومحاولة تغيير الوضع التاريخي والقانوني لمدينة القدس، أمر يستوجب تكاتف المجتمع الدولي لوضع حد لهذه الانتهاكات. وعلى نحو متزامن ها نحن نشهد اليوم تغول العدوان الإسرائيلي وتمدده ليطول سيادة الجمهورية اللبنانية الشقيقة مستهدفاً شعبه وكل من يتواجد على أرضها، بما في ذلك قوات اليونيفيل، في انتهاك صارخ للأعراف والقوانين الدولية، الأمر الذي بات يحتم على المجتمع الدولي التضامن مع الجمهورية اللبنانية وتمكينها من استعادة السيطرة على مؤسساتها وحماية مواطنيها وأراضيها وتطبيق قرار مجلس الأمن 1701. أصحاب الجلالة والفخامة والسمو، بات لزاماً على قمتنا هذه توجيه رسالة واضحة للمجتمع الدولي ومجلس الأمن على وجه الخصوص للاطلاع بمسؤولياتهم وإعادة الثقة لدور وفعالية مؤسسات المجتمع الدولي التي أصبحت اليوم على المحك، واتخاذ موقف حازم يفضي إلى الوقف الفوري لإطلاق النار وتوفير الحماية الدولية للمدنيين الأبرياء وضمان فتح الممرات الآمنة ووصول المساعدات الإنسانية العاجلة، وعدم التعامل مع الاحتلال الإسرائيلي باعتباره كياناً فوق القانون أو السماح بأن يسوق على أنه دفاع عن النفس. وتدعو دولة الكويت إلى ضرورة تحقيق مبدئي المحاسبة وعدم الإفلات من العقاب والامتثال للفتوى الصادرة عن محكمة العدل الدولية بشأن التبعات القانونية الناشئة عن سياسات وممارسات قوى الاحتلال الإسرائيلية في أرض فلسطين المحتلة. في هذا السياق تدين دولة الكويت قيام الاحتلال الإسرائيلي بإصدار تشريعات تهدف إلى حظر عمل وكالة الأونروا في أرض فلسطين المحتلة، كما تعرب عن رفضها تصفية الأونروا كمدخل لتصفية القضية الفلسطينية وحق اللاجئين بالعودة، ولا أي تعرض لأجهزة الأمم المتحدة أو لأمينها العام في ظل الجهود الحثيثة الرامية لصون الأمن والسلم الدوليين ودعم مبادئ ومقاصد الأمم المتحدة النبيلة. تجدد دولة الكويت دعمها التام لكافة الجهود التي تقوم بها دولة قطر الشقيقة وجمهورية مصر العربية الشقيقة والولايات المتحدة الأمريكية الصديقة لوقف إطلاق النار، كما تشيد بالجهود المبذولة من قبل أعضاء اللجنة الوزارية التي توجت بها أعمال قمتنا السابقة. وتعرب دولة الكويت مجدداً عن دعمها للتحالف الدولي لتنفيذ حل الدولتين الذي تقوده المملكة العربية السعودية الشقيقة، مشيدة في الوقت ذاته بالخطوات الشجاعة التي اتخذتها عدد من الدول الصديقة بالاعتراف بدولة فلسطين، داعية بقية دول العالم الصديقة المؤمنة بمبادئ العدل والإنصاف والمساواة لاتخاذ خطوات مماثلة وصولاً إلى تمكين دولة فلسطين من الحصول على العضوية الكاملة في منظمة الأمم المتحدة. كما لا تفوتني الإشادة بكافة الجهود التي توجت بالتوصل لآلية تنسيق مشتركة بين جامعة الدول العربية ومنظمة التعاون الإسلامي والاتحاد الأفريقي بهدف دعم القضية الفلسطينية. وختاماً، تشدد دولة الكويت على موقفها المبدئي الثابت والتاريخي المساند للشعب الفلسطيني الشقيق في نضاله لإنهاء الاحتلال الإسرائيلي ونيل حقوقه السياسية المشروعة كافة وإقامة دولته المستقلة على أرضه في حدود 4 يونيو العام 1967 وعاصمتها القدس الشرقية وفقاً للمرجعيات والقرارات الدولية ذات الصلة. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Welcome back, our dear viewers, on our live coverage of the joint Arab-Islamic Summit being held in the capital, Riyadh. Now, the Arab-Islamic Follow-Up Summit convened in the Saudi capital, Riyadh, serves as a continuation of the joint Arab-Islamic Extraordinary Summit held back in 2023, which addressed the Israeli occupation's aggression against the Palestinian people. The main objective of this follow-up summit is to reach resolutions and commitments made during the previous meeting and evaluate the implementation of said decisions with key topics including initiatives to hold the Israeli occupation accountable for its war crimes against humanity as emphasized in the 2023 summit's resolution, as well as exploring diplomatic avenues to achieve a just and lasting peace, including an international peace conference. This summit gathers heads of states, government officials, and senior representatives from member countries of the Arab League and the Organization of the Islamic Cooperation, OIC, who are committed to addressing the Palestinian cause. Now, before we go
the joint Arab
review here,
The Joint Arab-Islamic Extraordinary Summit of 2023, hosted by the Crown Prince and Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, His Royal Highness Prince Mohammed bin Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud, with the participation of the leaders and heads of governments and heads of delegations of the member states of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation and the Arab League, addressed the genocidal war in Palestine and an immediate end to the brutal Israeli occupation aggression. Firstly, the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, or the OIC, Secretary General, His Excellency Mr. Hussein Brahim Taher, affirmed that the summit comes to confirm the solidarity with and unwavering support for the Palestinian people, and the responsibilities to support the central cause, the cause of Palestine and Al-Quds al-Sharif. The resolution called for the urgent convening of an international peace conference aimed at achieving a just and comprehensive peace based on international legitimacy and the Arab Peace Initiative. Moreover, it urged international organizations to act and called on the UN Security Council to adopt measures condemning the Israeli occupation crimes, ensuring compliance with international law. The resolution also included the activation of the Arab and Islamic financial safety net to aid Palestine and UNRWA. The resolution mandated the two general secretariats of the OIC and the League of Arab States to establish two specialized legal monitoring units to document all the crimes of the occupation authorities in the Gaza Strip since the 7th of October of 2023. Finally, it demanded that all countries should stop exporting weapons and ammunition to the occupation forces.
That was Hamad Al-Jasmi reporting on the Joint Arab-Islamic Summit. Now let's welcome our political analyst, Dr. Khalid Jabfawi, who is going to be our guest for tonight. Hello, Doctor, and thank you for being with us tonight.
It's
a great pleasure to have you tonight.
That's nice.
Now let's go to the main question for the night. Why did the Riyadh call for a follow-up summit specifically for last year's Joint Arab-Islamic Summit? From your own point of view?
Yeah, I think the summit, the current summit, is a direct response to the escalating humanitarian situation in Gaza, and also we can read it within the context of the continuous Israeli aggression against the Palestinian people. And of course the response of the Arab and Muslim Islamic world toward this crisis reveals a real concern among Arab and Muslim countries of the calamities and of the catastrophes that have been committed by the Israeli occupational forces, and the loss of thousands of lives among Palestinian civilians. Just recently, a report by Reuters reported like a statistic made by the United Nations recently about the highest, indicating that the highest number of victims among Palestinians, almost 70% of the victims of the aggression are children and women and children. So this reveals the brutality of this Israeli occupation, and I think the summit will address such issues and will issue, I think, a very strong message to the international community to uphold its humanitarian and also human responsibilities.
Okay. Dr. Khalid, how do you think this summit would impact the regional peace, especially now in Palestine and Lebanon?
I think it will, first, I think one of the achievements of this summit is that it will create a unified Islamic and Arabic front or position, if you like. This is one of the main issues, I think, that the summit will lead to. In addition to this, I think it will also, the summit will help increase international pressure on Israel itself. In addition to this, it will also, if you like, send a clear message to the international community, especially the Western world, that what is happening right now in Palestine is a genocide. And if the Western countries continue to provide Israel with ammunition and tanks and weapons, the tragedy will continue. So the only solution to this crisis is the intervention of Europeans in particular, by basically stopping their, the support, the military support of Israel. Unless they do that, nothing will change on the ground. We will continue to lose civilians. We will continue to witness an escalating humanitarian crisis.
Yes. Dr. Khalid, do you think those actions being called in the summit would help or influence in ending the conflict in Palestine and Lebanon? Indeed, I think the discussions in the summit and also the resolutions of the summit will lead to the creation first of a unified Arab and Islamic front, and basically to clarify our Islamic and Arabic position toward this crisis. It will also put pressure on the global forces, if you like, powers in the world to intervene. It will also exert pressure on the United Nations itself, and specifically the Security Council, to uphold its responsibility towards what is happening in Palestine. So the message, I think, of the summit is basically a clarification, a strengthening of our Arab and Islamic, if you like, discourse, approach, how we look at this issue, and hopefully this will lead to the increasing of international pressure on this occupying force, the state of Israel. Now, Dr. Khalid, while this summit is aimed to condemn Israel's heinous crimes and genocidal actions against the Palestinians, do you think there is a possibility for upcoming ceasefire for the region through the summit?
I think there is an opportunity for the ceasefire immediately after the summit, because I think one of the achievements of the current summit is that it presented to the international community a unified Arab and Islamic position toward this crisis. This is one thing. In addition to this, of course, this will exert more pressure on Western countries, European countries, whoever continues to provide ammunitions and military support to Israel, to understand that things might change in the next few weeks or few months. Maybe economic relations with the rest of the Islamic world will be impacted if nothing is achieved. So it is basically a clear message for the international community to uphold and fulfill its responsibility and commitments to protecting civilians. These people, these victims are basically civilians. They are just innocent civilians who are being brutalized and decimated by a brutal military force.
Yes. Dr. Khalid, now this follow-up summit underscores the continued commitment of the Arab and Islamic nations to support Palestinian rights and seek resolutions to ongoing conflicts in the region. By building upon the outcomes of the previous summits, participants aim to present a unified stance and implement effective measures, analyzing the ongoing humanitarian and political conditions in Palestinian territories and Lebanon, as well as other regional developments. Leaders from many countries, such as Egypt, Jordan, Turkey, Iran, and others participated, reflecting a broad representation of the Arab and Islamic world. Now, Dr. Khalid, what is the impact of those leaders and their representatives attending the summit in pushing forward for a ceasefire and ending the hostilities in the region?
I think the impact will be seen very soon, because before the summit itself, the Saudi Arabia and Kuwait and many other Arab and Islamic countries coordinated efforts with the European Union and Norway in order to facilitate the commitment of establishing an independent Palestinian state. In addition to this, I think the presence or the attendance of many regional leaders basically will strengthen the position of both Arab and Islamic countries, and also it will basically just send a clear message, for example, to the American government or the new presidency in the States, or the new president or the new administration in the States, that before you analyze your relationships with the Middle Eastern countries, with the Islamic world, with the Arab world, you have to understand that the Palestinian issue is a central issue to all Arabs and Muslims. In addition to this, of course, the calling for the ceasefire in Lebanon. Lebanon have lost more than 3,000 innocent civilians, and this is basically an issue that increased the humanitarian crisis in the region itself. And unless, say, the United States and European countries intervene and put pressure on Israel to stop its aggression and to basically agree to a ceasefire, I think the crisis will expand. And I don't think the expansion of this crisis will benefit any party.
Yes. Dr. Khalid, a lot of people in the Middle East are looking forward for this summit and to see what outcomes that would have an impact and could stabilize the region here. In your own opinion, what do you think is expected from the summit of the leaders of the Arab and Islamic nations?
Well, one would hope that things will change for the better. In other words, the first sign we should see very soon is the agreeing of the Israelis on a ceasefire. In addition to this, the resumption of humanitarian aid to the Palestinian people in Gaza. And thirdly, of course, the ceasefire in Lebanon, meaning the stopping the Israeli military aggression against Lebanon itself and the civilians in Lebanon. And hopefully with time, I think we will see, as announced in the summit today, we will see an international, a stronger international cooperation to fulfill the establishment, the promise of the establishment of an independent Palestinian state. Unless we achieve that, unless we reach a consensus among at least the global powers, say China and Russia and the States, to the establishment of an independent Palestinian state, the humanitarian crisis will continue, and the bloodshed will continue, and the indiscriminate killing of civilians will continue.
Dr. Khalid, as you know, so many extraordinary meetings were held for the Palestinian cause, calling for global communities to aid Palestine and demand a ceasefire in the conflict. So why do you think this summit is different? What's so special about this summit? How is this particular summit different from previous ones held by different countries?
I think it's historically very important because it comes before the beginning of the American administration, the new administration. And I think the timing of the summit itself and the resolutions of the summit will send a clear message to the American administration, the new American administration, that before you analyze your relationships with the Middle Eastern countries, you need to realize that things have changed because of the humanitarian crisis created by Israel, and that the United States in particular needs to change its diplomatic approach. It needs to be more forceful. It needs to be more powerful in its, if you like, approach to the crisis, and it needs to exert more pressure on its ally Israel to at least agree to a ceasefire, because no one will accept what is happening in Gaza. I don't think the Europeans or the Americans or any other people will accept the loss of so many innocent lives. And for the sake of achieving a regional peace, a Middle Eastern peace, a lasting peace, the US, if you like, needs to reanalyze or reaffirm its strong relationships with the Middle Eastern countries, especially the Gulf region. And for the sake of maintaining those diplomatic and effective relations with the Arab world, the United States needs to tell Israel directly that you have to stop the killing, you have to agree to a ceasefire, otherwise the crisis and the conflict will expand, and if it expands, it will impact everyone around the region.
Dr. Khalid, if we could focus light on Kuwait's role. Amid all these efforts, the state of Kuwait has repeatedly called for international action against the Israeli occupation aggression against the Palestinians. At the past summits, the state of Kuwait has pushed for Arab unity on this issue and called for collective action, including legal and political support, to protect Palestinian rights while also condemning the Israeli aggression and all its criminal practices that it's been doing against the Palestinian innocent people. Now, could you tell us a little bit more about the role of the state of Kuwait and how effective this in pushing forward the call for a ceasefire and peace in the Middle East?
I think the speech made by His Highness, the representative of His Highness the Emir, His Highness the Crown Prince, created, if you like, a new opportunity for the international community to uphold its responsibilities. In the speech, His Highness called for an immediate ceasefire, an opening of humanitarian corridors to deliver humanitarian aid to the Palestinians, and it reaffirmed the strong Kuwaiti position toward the Palestinian issue. It reconfirmed the commitment of Kuwait for supporting the establishment of an independent Palestinian state. And I think Kuwait in this summit, as it has been used to do for the previously in the previous summit and also throughout history, Kuwait has always took a firm stand in regards to the Palestinian issue. It was one of the initiators of this peace process. It was also the country that contributed more than I think any other country in its humanitarian aid and support for the Palestinian people for decades. So the Kuwait diplomacy is characterized by its directness, by its direct approach to resolve the crisis. As we have read and as we have listened in the speech of His Highness the Crown Prince, we understand now that Kuwait understands fully its international responsibilities and also understands fully the responsibility of the Security Council, understands fully the international commitment to maintaining peace, and I think the speech itself will facilitate hopefully the opening of humanitarian corridors, as did the previous summit when they basically succeeded in opening emergency or were able to send emergency aid. So hopefully Kuwait will always be one of the leading countries, one of the leading Islamic and Arabic countries in supporting the Palestinian issue.
Okay. Before we go further in our discussion, now the state of Kuwait's active role in regional international summits for the Palestinian cause unequivocally demonstrates its firm support for the Palestinian rights and sovereignty. The state of Kuwait continuously addresses immediate council meetings and hosted the 1987 Islamic Summit, showcasing its solidarity. Here is more details on that in the following report.
Extraordinary Summit on the Israeli occupation's aggression against the Palestinian people, which was held in Riyadh of Saudi Arabia on the 11th of November 2023. In the summit, the state of Kuwait emphasized the need of sustainable peace in the region, starting with a final and just solution for the Palestinian cause through the establishment of an independent Palestinian state on the 1967 lines with East Jerusalem as its capital, in accordance with the Arab Peace Initiative and relevant international references, reiterating that the Palestinian cause will always be of Kuwait's top foreign policy priorities. Moreover, the state of Kuwait also participated in the 7th Extraordinary Islamic Summit in Istanbul on the 18th of May 2018. The final communiqué of the 7th Summit appreciated Kuwait's role as a non-permanent member of the United Nations Security Council, highlighting its response to the violent events in Gaza and its request for an emergency Security Council meeting on May the 15th of 2018. It also welcomed Kuwait's efforts in proposing a draft resolution aimed at protecting civilians. Back in the year 1987, Kuwait hosted the 5th session of the Islamic Summit Conference, showcasing its solidarity and support towards Palestinians for decades. The summit showed Kuwait's firm stance towards the Palestinian cause, exemplifying the only way to achieve peace is through the complete and unconditional withdrawal of the Israeli occupation from all occupied Palestinian territories. Kuwait further rejected peace initiatives that were insufficient to the Palestinian cause.
Now we have with us our political analyst Hussein Shamiri, joining us from the Saudi capital Riyadh via Skype. Hello, Mr. Hussein.
Hello, Ahmed.
What is the importance of the state of Kuwait's participation in this joint Arab-Islamic follow-up summit? Could you give us some details on that?
First of all, good evening to you and to your guest, esteemed guest, as well as your viewers. The state of Kuwait have played and still continues to play a great role in the GCC, as well as the Arab League and OIC, and internationally. Kuwait have always supported the Palestinian cause and continues under the leadership of Sheikh Bishal to continue supporting the Palestinian cause. That's why it's important for Kuwait to be at this summit. We have all listened to the speech of the Crown Prince before the summit. He reiterated on the role of the international community to stop the killing and the genocide against the Palestinian people, as well as the demand of also stopping the aggression against the state of Lebanon, returning to the resolution 1701. His Highness have reiterated also on the great role of the Arab League and the OIC to ensure the supporting corridors, as Dr. our guest have spoken a while ago. So Kuwait is an essential country in the world regarding the Palestinian issue. It has always supported Palestine since the 1948 and continues until 2024, and the same role supporting the rights of the Palestinians of creating their own state on the 1967 borders. As a result of the international resolutions. So the state of Kuwait, through its officials, have continued and will continue supporting the Palestinian issue, as well as all the Arab causes, to ensure a peaceful region for us, for the prosperity of the region. So the state of Kuwait have played a great role in the previous summit, And today we have listened to the speech of His Highness the Crown Prince Sheikh Sabah, where he reiterated and he put the responsibility on the shoulders of the international community, the Security Council, as well as other countries affecting, pushing or pressuring Israel to stop the genocide in Gaza and to start listening to international resolutions and start negotiating the ceasefire in Palestine, as well in Gaza Strip in particular, as well as in the West Bank, and also the aggression against Lebanon. So the state of Kuwait is an essential country in supporting the Palestinian cause, and that's why we look at the role of Kuwait as essential for solving the main cause, which is the occupation of Palestine.
In your own opinion, what makes this summit different from the previous summits held by different countries in the past regarding regional peace?
First of all, now the Arab strength. The Arabs have arisen since Corona up to today. Now, looking at the economic situation of Kuwait and the Gulf states, we have an effect over the international economic, let's say, in the international economy. Kuwait has its own sovereign fund of $767 billion. The Emirates 795, Saudi Arabia 735. So three in total, we're speaking about 2 trillion plus investment liquidity in those three countries. Plus if we look at Europe now, after the bombing of Nord Stream 1 and Nord Stream 2, which is the gas as well as the oil coming from Russia, have stopped. So the replacement is the Arab oil as well as the Arab gas. We have seen many European leaders coming to the state of Kuwait, to United Arab Emirates, and to Saudi Arabia, to Qatar, to ensure they get the Arab oil as a replacement of the Russian oil. So let's say our pressure on the international community have raised in many stages. That's why this summit comes at a crucial time for the world and for the region as well. Now we are facing genocide in Gaza Strip. Also, we are witnessing as well an aggression against the state of Lebanon. We have seen the speech of His Highness the Crown Prince Sheikh Sabah reiterating the stopping of the genocide against the Palestinians. Today, we have all the Islamic states attending, plus many international organizations. That is our voice is coming louder. It comes also in the United States. Now we have a new administration. Last year we had the Democratic administration under Joe Biden. Now in the coming month we're going to see the Republicans under Mr. Trump. So it came at a crucial time. Now the final statement of the summit have reiterated on the stopping and the ceasefire in Lebanon as well as in Gaza Strip. The aggression should be stopped. The international community should pressure Israel. Israel, as His Highness said, cannot be over the international law. It has to abide by the international law. The international law cannot be played by individuals or individual countries. It has to be decided by the international community against what is Israel is undertaking in Gaza as well as in Lebanon. So this summit, we're hoping that the world would listen to the voice of the Arabs, to our demands, because we are an international power as the GCC states, as the Arab League and the OIC. Now, other entities have to deal with the outcome of this summit, because we cannot continue in this international community or the international order by giving Israel all the rights or license to kill with no accountability. So the final communique is putting the international community under pressure to let's say, to pressure Israel, to pressure Benjamin Netanyahu and his government to stop the killing of the Palestinians, and to listen to the sound of righteousness. So it is very important. This summit, as a follow-up summit, it's going to review the outcome of the previous summit last year, 2023, the extraordinary summit, the Arab and Islamic summit, which was held in Riyadh. Today, the leaders reaffirmed their support to this righteous cause of the Palestinians, and we're hoping that the American administration would play a positive role towards the issues. We have been hearing promises from the president, the American president, that a two-state solution might rise up. And this is our demand. We are demanding that two-state solution with an independent state of Palestine on the 67 territories, as well as to stop the aggression against Lebanon. So we are indeed looking at this summit very seriously. The outcome of this summit, the gathering of the Muslim leaders from all over the world in this summit gives it more importance. We have seen Iran is participating, Turkey is participating, and Pakistan and many other countries. So we are hoping that this collective pressure would play a greater role for the benefit of the Palestinians as well as for the Lebanese state. And we are looking for the resolutions 242 for Palestine, as well as 1559 and 1680 and 1701, as mentioned by His Highness the Crown Prince.
Our political analyst, Hussein Shamiri, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for your time and all the detailed information that you shared with us. Thank you. The state of Kuwait has often acted as a mediator, working to ease tensions and promote dialogue within the region, while it also advocated for accountability for war crimes and violations of the international law and norms, pushing for measures to address these issues. It has supported international legal actions, including those through the International Criminal Court, to investigate violations in Palestinian territories. Now we're going to go back to Dr. Khalid, and if you allow me, I would like to ask you about could you just shed some light on the significance of the states of Kuwait's participation in this follow-up summit, and if we can talk a little bit about His Highness the Crown Prince's speech. It was very sharp and decisive in depicting the state of Kuwait's stance against this conflict.
Indeed, I think the speech revealed the strength of Kuwait diplomacy. It revealed the strong position of Kuwait toward the Palestinian issue or the Palestinian cause. And I think His Highness's speech revealed the fundamental positions of Kuwait toward resolving the ongoing crisis. It also revealed the Kuwait's commitment to its Arab and Islamic and also international responsibilities. It also revealed the unique Kuwaiti approach toward resolving regional issues. For example, the emphasis on a lasting peace, the emphasis on guaranteeing the establishment of an independent Palestinian state or the two-state solution, the reaffirmation of the state of Kuwait of its strong and very positive position toward what is happening, say, within the context of the ongoing Israeli aggression against Lebanon. So Kuwait basically in the speech itself, His Highness's speech, reaffirms its historical, if you like, positive position toward the Arab and Islamic causes. And hopefully Kuwait also will play a major role in the next summits by calling upon the international community to fulfill its responsibilities, meaning that Kuwait used its diplomatic and political power to forward, if you like, and to support Arab and Islamic causes. And hopefully in the next few days or maybe the next few weeks, we will also witness the impact of this Arab and Islamic summit, and hopefully the rest of the world will finally listen to a unified Arab and an Islamic front, and hopefully this will ultimately change the situation for the better.
Yes. Now, within this context, the state of Kuwait has been actively involved in aiding both Palestinians and Lebanese people, focusing on humanitarian assistance, financial support, and advocacy for peace and stability. It has been an active voice in the Arab League and the Organization of the Islamic Cooperation, OIC, advocating for Palestinian rights and condemning the Israeli occupation's actions in Gaza and the West Bank, in turn supporting Palestinian statehood efforts on the world stage. More details on that in the following report.
Supporter of Palestinians in Gaza, particularly in response to the violations imposed by the Israeli occupation. Kuwait's assistance includes humanitarian aid, reconstruction efforts, and diplomatic advocacy. As the Israeli occupation began its aggression against the Palestinians in the Gaza Strip, the state of Kuwait launched a humanitarian air bridge to send aid and medical supplies to those suffering in the enclave. This was first announced last year by the Minister of Foreign Affairs in that time, Sheikh Salim Abdullah Sabah, as it was an extension of Kuwait's unwavering position in supporting the Palestinian cause and an attempt to alleviate the suffering brought by the Israeli occupation. The Kuwaiti air bridge continued on a daily basis, consisting of humanitarian relief plane loads, carrying urgent supplies and medical necessities to the Gaza Strip through Al Arish area in Egypt. Overseeing the initiatives are Ministries of Foreign Affairs, Defense, and Health, as well as the Air Force, with Kuwait Red Crescent Society, Kuwait Relief Society, and other humanitarian establishments contributing to it. The 42nd Relief Plane for Gaza, considered the latest plane, left the state of Kuwait back in January, carrying 10 tons of medical supplies, blankets, and necessities. The state of Kuwait maintained substantial annual donations to the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestinian refugees in the Near East, UNRWA, recognizing the organization's vital role in Palestinian education, healthcare, and relief operations, especially after the occupation's genocide started to escalate back in October of last year. Since the establishment of UNRWA in 1949, Kuwait has been a consistent contributor, funding initiatives to support Palestinian refugees in Gaza and the West Bank, as well as neighboring countries like Lebanon. The country has pledged substantial funds for rebuilding Gaza's infrastructure. In May 2024 alone, Kuwait pledged over $2 billion along with international donors to aid Gaza. These funds are intended to support humanitarian interventions and early recovery efforts in the Palestinian territories. Through these efforts, the state of Kuwait demonstrates a sustained commitment to supporting Palestinians in Gaza, addressing immediate humanitarian needs, contributing to reconstruction, and consistently advocating for their rights on the international stage, emphasizing Palestinian statehood. The State of Kuwait's representative at the United Nations General Assembly recently renewed his condemnation of the Israeli occupation's actions in both Gaza and Lebanon, calling for an immediate ceasefire and accountability for violations of international law.
Welcome back, our dear viewers, to our live coverage of the joint Arab-Islamic summit being held in the Saudi capital, Riyadh. Now, Dr. Khalid, the state of Kuwait, as we heard in the report earlier, extends its support for the Palestinians and also to Lebanon for a long time, for a long term, and through the Kuwait Red Crescent Societies and through other international organizations channels. Yes. Now, how is this taken, the state of Kuwait's firm stance in supporting the Palestinian cause, to a whole new level?
I think we also say in His Highness's speech, he emphasized the humanitarian role that Kuwait has played throughout history in regards to supporting the Palestinian people. And I think one of the main points in the speech is the emphasis of Kuwait on the need to open new humanitarian corridors and to pressure the international community to exert more pressure on Israel, at least to open those corridors. In other words, it calls for an emergency delivering of humanitarian aid, because what we witness in Gaza, in addition to humanitarian tragedy, basically people are dying because of the whole thing, because of the Israeli
not allowing
aggression,
the aid to
not allowing the aid to go into Gaza. So Kuwait basically has emphasized the need for that, the need to open those corridors. And when you read this Kuwaiti call for opening of those humanitarian corridors, you need to read it within the historical context of the positive Kuwaiti role throughout history in assisting those who are in need, and especially Arab and Muslim nations, through, say, its national organizations like the Red Crescent, and also through its huge contributions to the different United Nations organizations and departments. And also, so hopefully the role of Kuwait in this current crisis will help to alleviate some of the suffering of our brothers and sisters in Lebanon and also in Gaza. So hopefully the Israelis will agree to the opening of those corridors, humanitarian corridors, and we will succeed in delivering a much needed aid to the Palestinian civilians.
Okay, but currently, do you expect the aid to come through and will be delivered to the people and sufferings right now in the Palestinian occupied territories and also in Lebanon?
I think maybe in the current situation, the only possibility for delivering humanitarian aid needs to come through the Americans, because the Americans have already have an access to Gaza. So hopefully the Americans establish a pair on Gaza, if you like, to deliver humanitarian aid, and hopefully the Arab and Islamic, if you like, humanitarian aid will go through the United States to be delivered. Currently, the United Nations is unable to deliver food or water or medical supplies because of Israel's refusal to allow the United Nations to basically fulfill its responsibilities in Gaza. So hopefully the Americans and maybe the French will be able to deliver some humanitarian aid to the Gazans, and hopefully also we will succeed in delivering more aid to Lebanon.
Yes. Before we end our discussion, Dr. Khalid, I would like to talk a little bit about His Highness, the representative of His Highness the Emir's speech during the summit, and how big of an influence that speech you think has on the summit and the final communique.
I think it will have a great impact on in dealing with the Palestinian cause, and we also need to remember that the speech of His Highness the Crown Prince came as a result of the instructions of His Highness the Emir, meaning the approach is basically a representative of our political and diplomatic, historical, if you like, approach toward the Arab and Islamic causes, and hopefully it will impact the international community, because Kuwait already has a very rich diplomatic relationships with the rest of the world, especially with the global powers. The global powers realize that the Kuwaiti approach toward this issue, in particular the Palestinian issue, comes from a fundamental Islamic and Arabic position, and that Kuwaitis, as well as the rest of the Arab world, consider the Palestinian people as part of the Arab world and the Islamic world, and unless the international community helps to alleviate the suffering of these people, the rest of the region will be impacted negatively, unfortunately. So indeed, Kuwait has a very powerful political heritage, and in the speech we witness the effective use of that diplomatic heritage in imposing, if you like, or in attempting to impose more pressure on Israel to agree to a ceasefire, or at least to halt its aggression.
Yes. Dr. Khalid Jafawi, thank you so much for joining us tonight, and it's always a great pleasure to have you with us, and thank you for all the valuable insight that you gave us.
Thank you for inviting me.
Now, this follow-up summit in Riyadh aims to strengthen collective responses, enhance humanitarian aid coordination, and advocate for lasting peace through diplomatic and legal avenues. By prioritizing an international peace conference, immediate humanitarian interventions, and sustained political frameworks, the summit underscores a united front for justice, accountability, and stability in the region. This continued collaboration highlights a shared vision within the Arab Islamic world, which revolves around upholding Palestinian rights, supporting regional stability, and seeking comprehensive solutions to the conflicts. Thank you so much for being with us and joining us in this live coverage of the Joint Arab Islamic Summit. See you in future interviews. Thank you.